Pedro Pascal, celebrated for his roles in The Last of Us and The Mandalorian, is now finding himself in the headlines not for his latest role, but for his fight with trauma, anxiety, and the desperate measures he's turned to for relief, including an unapproved and illegal MDMA therapy. While MDMA therapy remains illegal and unapproved in the US, there are those who, like Pedro, have reached beyond traditional therapies, which sometimes fail to ease the kind of pain that lives deep within. MDMA has shown promise in controlled studies for treating PTSD, enabling people to revisit trauma with clarity and calm. For Pedro, whose past is marked by profound loss, this alternative therapy provided a path to confront the grief of losing his mother, the responsibility he felt for his siblings, and the endless worry for his sister's safety in a hostile world. This journey isn't just a story of survival, it's one of resilience and courage in the face of mental darkness. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Masterpiece. Today we're diving into PTSD. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or this is your first time here, I'm thrilled to have you join me. In this video, we'll be exploring its characteristics. Pedro Pascal is someone who radiates charisma and confidence on screen, but that doesn't mean he hasn't faced his own inner demons. Growing up, he dealt with loss, trauma, and incredible family responsibilities. At the age of 24, his life was shaken to the core when his mother passed away. He'd go on to raise his younger siblings, stepping into a parental role out of necessity and love. Losing his mother left scars, the kind that resurface in quiet moments or in moments of high stress, even years down the line. In a raw interview, he spoke about how her loss still haunts him, admitting he continues to talk to her, especially when faced with situations that heighten his anxieties, like preparing for big roles or major events. This loss wasn't something he could easily move on from, and the impact on his mental health has been substantial. Pedro often feels a protective drive for his loved ones, a trait that has stemmed from losing his mother so young and stepping into the role of caretaker. He has admitted to being lethally protective over his younger sister, Lux, who came out as transgender in 2021. With trans rights currently under attack in the US and abroad, Pedro's anxiety over her safety has only added to the cocktail of emotions he wrestles with every day. Let's take a closer look at Pedro's anxiety. Recently, a video of him nervously holding a co-star's hand on the red carpet went viral, causing the internet to erupt in both support and criticism. Some accused him of being weak, telling him to man up. But for those who've struggled with anxiety, Pedro's hand-holding gesture was something relatable. Physical touch and self-soothing gestures, like the way he places a hand over his heart, help him ground himself in high-stress situations. It's a small act, but for him, it's a big part of managing his social anxiety. Fans see it as a sign of authenticity. It's a rare moment where we get to see behind the celebrity image, witnessing a human response to very real nerves. Pedro's anxiety isn't just a once-in-a-while problem. It's something he's had to develop strategies for, given the intense public scrutiny that comes with his career. Experts have even weighed in on his hand-over-the-heart technique, describing it as a compassionate gesture that can lower cortisol levels and reduce stress. But here's where things get interesting. In some cases, traditional methods like grounding exercises aren't enough to manage deeper trauma, like the kind Pedro is experiencing. And that's where the rumors about MDMA therapy come into play. If you're wondering why anyone, let alone Pedro Pascal, would turn to a substance as controversial as MDMA to help manage PTSD and trauma, there's a good reason for it. MDMA isn't just a party drug anymore. It's being studied seriously for its potential to help people with PTSD. In clinical settings, MDMA has shown promise in helping people confront traumatic memories without being overwhelmed by fear or anxiety. The theory is that MDMA helps reduce activity in the brain's fear center, allowing individuals to approach traumatic experiences without the usual panic response. This, in turn, enables people to process their pain more openly and effectively, helping them make peace with events that once haunted them. Studies are still ongoing, and while MDMA-assisted therapy has been a breakthrough therapy designation from the FDA for PTSD treatment, it's not yet approved for general use. But for those who've found traditional therapies unhelpful or even re-traumatizing, MDMA offers a chance for relief. And it seems that Pedro has been willing to take that chance to find the peace he's been searching for. Pedro's history is full of emotionally charged experiences that likely contributed to his PTSD. Losing his mother left him with a sense of abandonment that he's carried into adulthood. He admitted to talking to her and asking her for strength in his most vulnerable moments. It's easy to see how these deeply ingrained experiences of loss could manifest as PTSD. He's also spent years worrying about his trans sister Lux, particularly in today's political climate, where transphobia is on the rise and anti-trans laws are being passed at alarming rates. For Pedro, the anxiety surrounding her well-being adds yet another layer to his mental health challenges. As Lux pursued her identity, Pedro embraced his role as her biggest ally. This support came naturally to him, but it wasn't without its emotional cost. Lux's public coming out brought with it a surge of both love and hate online, and as her brother, Pedro, undoubtedly felt responsible for protecting her, even though there was little he could do to shield her from the world's opinion. So, where does MDMA come into play for Pedro? For him, MDMA therapy has been a vital tool in managing PTSD and past trauma. MDMA has gained attention for its effectiveness in treating PTSD, and though it isn't yet approved for widespread medical use, many with deep-seated trauma turn to it when traditional therapies fall short. For Pedro, this path wasn't about recreational use or chasing thrills. Rather, he pursued MDMA therapy in a controlled therapeutic setting, possibly as part of a clinical study or through a licensed professional administering it off the books. Under MDMA's influence, people are often able to confront traumatic memories with a calm that isn't easily reached in standard therapy sessions. In Pedro's case, MDMA therapy allowed him to revisit painful memories, the profound grief over his mother's passing, the sense of responsibility he felt in raising his younger siblings, and the anxiety he carries around his sister's safety in today's charged political climate. For him, MDMA therapy has been instrumental in processing this deep well of emotion, giving him a sense of relief and understanding that had long been out of reach. If Pedro Pascal really did turn to MDMA therapy, he wouldn't be alone. And yet, the stigma surrounding men's mental health is as intense as ever. When that video of Pedro holding his co-star's hand surfaced, the reactions ranged from empathy to outright mockery. Many said that Pedro should toughen up and act like a man, exposing the persistent stigma around men's mental health. This stigma has historically kept men from seeking help, and it's one reason alternative therapies like MDMA are seeing such a rise in interest. Men like Pedro who publicly show vulnerability can open up broader conversations, even if it means enduring unfair criticism. Just last month, the FDA declined to approve MDMA therapy for PTSD treatment, claiming there isn't enough evidence to warrant approval. This decision has left many mental health advocates and individuals struggling with PTSD feeling angry, frustrated, and disappointed. The reality is that for some people, MDMA therapy has been a life-saving alternative where nothing else has worked. The FDA's refusal to approve MDMA therapy has sparked conversations across social media, with some arguing that the agency is under pressure from the pharmaceutical industry to prevent MDMA therapy from gaining traction. If MDMA therapy truly has provided relief for Pedro, then he's a testament to the potential of psychedelic-assisted therapy for trauma. His journey isn't unique, but because he's in the public eye, Pedro's story might bring some much-needed attention to the challenges of PTSD, grief, and the complicated reality of mental health recovery. For Pedro Pascal, the journey to healing might be ongoing, with ups and downs along the way. While MDMA therapy could offer some relief, it's not a cure. Trauma doesn't just disappear. But for someone who's shouldered immense emotional weight from a young age, MDMA might have been a step in learning to live with his past rather than being controlled by it. In a world where mental health still carries heavy stigma, Pedro Pascal's turn to MDMA therapy is a courageous, perhaps even controversial choice. But it's a choice that could inspire countless others struggling with trauma to seek out the help they need, legal or otherwise. And maybe, just maybe, he's part of a larger movement that's going to change the face of PTSD treatment for good. And there you have it. I hope you found this video helpful and learned something new. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay updated. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover next, make sure to drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.